Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lens, where we speak with global leaders to discuss future gazing ideas, awe inspiring marketing strategies, and most importantly, aspects of business and marketing that all of us need to be aware of in 2021. Today, we have with us Kabeer Chaudhary, who is the Managing Director Asia Pacific at M&C Saatchi Performance. Welcome, Kabeer, and congratulations on the new role.
Thanks, Shiny. Thanks for having me on your video series. Really looking forward to the chat.
Kabeer is a well-known marketing leader and is responsible for the performance of the agency across the APAC region. He's passionate about the role of technology in advertising and has been selected as one of LinkedIn's power profiles for his unique ability to simplify the digital jargon. We hope to have you simplify some of the stuff that 2020 and 2021 have thrown at us, Kabeer. What have been your most significant learnings from this year?
Yeah, I think 2020 was obviously I promised myself that I'll stop using that word, but it was an unprecedented year for all of us, right? Something that you can never put in your yearly strategies, in your annual plans, in how the business is supposed to do. I think it was a year where we actually went through a lot of ups and downs, and in terms of business and emotions as well. When you see that there are then when you actually have the feeling that there might be actually a big kind of hit on business, and at the same time be able to kind of keep your employees and keep the business intact as well. So yeah, we had like like kind of a rough start to there, but I think since we actually and especially M&C Saatchi Performance, we work in the digital native space, which is more to do with the big e-commerce or ride-hailing companies or food delivery companies. These companies were able to get back into shape very quickly, and overall, actually, when we look back at 2020, it was I shouldn't say that because I know a lot of businesses and perhaps people have suffered as well, but we actually had one of our best years in APAC because of the kind of clients we have aligned ourselves with. So we grew almost like kind of 40% in revenue. We grew around 40% in staff. We hired people across all regions, and we were able to kind of sustain, and we were able to kind of sustain without making any layoffs or cut salaries or anything like that.
Positivity in adversity was the learning in 2020.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think I feel like I'm actually surrounded by really good talent, and I think when we were facing adversity at the start of say Q2, when the pandemic hit, and especially in markets like India, where there was just like kind of a complete lockdown and companies not wanting to spend anything, it was definitely a kind of a panicky situation. But the way our employees actually got out of that, and we won some really important new business that time, was something that really changed the game for us in 2020.
So did you see a lot of difference in the way brand spends changed? Was there like a huge trajectory change that happened? And was it like significantly different for India, Southeast Asia, or other global markets? Was there a difference between these markets, how brands behave?
Yeah, yeah, I think what I felt was once the pandemic hit, right? I think first there were brands who were conscious of what kind of messaging they put out there, because they didn't want to obviously kind of sound as if they are taking advantage of the situation, because when the pandemic hit, there are certain sectors which will always do better, right? So, for example, sectors like e-commerce or food delivery in general should do better. So we were advising our clients to actually make sure that you are out there, but you're empathizing with the community as well. and not sounding like taking advantage of the situation. So I think we clearly felt that brands were conscious. If they were not, we were trying to actually kind of consult them. In terms of media spends, there was definitely a change in way the clients were actually wanting to do stuff. I felt clients were trying to stick to more kind of traditional media channels. By traditional, I mean digital traditional channels, not the traditional like kind of offline channels. But what I felt was clients were trying to be safe and not kind of innovate at that point of time, and that's what, and we completely understand that, right? Because obviously in this kind of a crisis, usually people and companies go into a shell and they want to kind of make sure that they're not kind of over leveraging or kind of overspending or doing anything that. What we saw was we were obviously sharing insights with our clients in terms of what the rates are out there, and perhaps yeah, there is a chance to take advantage because especially in Q2 last year, we saw CPM rates across the board, right, being much lower than they were. So we were able to kind of help our clients take advantage of that situation and really go out there and kind of put their messaging out there. And I think as the year went by, we saw obviously clients coming back, even including clients who are in the travel and hospitality space. Probably that was the sector which was the most affected. But across different markets, especially clients which are travel clients which do well in the domestic kind of travel or hospitality space, have kind of come back. And because there is a certain amount of demand for it as well. Um, so yeah, I think over the year we saw it coming back, and I think 2021 has started really well. I would say we're definitely at a much better place than we were pre-COVID last year. And with I think with the new hires we've made in the region, we're really confident that we'll be able to take this year full on.
That's awesome. So market has seen significant changes. Like you said, people went back to traditional digital channels. A lot of companies actually dipped their toes into digital or actually accelerated digital spends in 2020. There were, obviously a decrease in spends, and then it kind of came back to normal. How are agencies like M&C Saatchi kind of dealing with these changes? How are you navigating?
Yeah. We are, I think, so as I mentioned, right, what we actually really do well, and that's what we specialize in, is that we work with companies which are in the digital native space. So as I said, the ride hailing companies, the e-commerce companies, the online travel agents, and all of that, right? So we've stuck to this specialization, and I think that's kind of helped us even during COVID, when most agencies were kind of going through problems. This actually helped us because like for one reason or the other, companies which were digital native were doing well, and they were kind of taking advantage of the situation as well. So that's actually that strategy of specializing in a certain kind of companies, which are obviously companies of the future, has actually helped us. At the same time, we've also been in the last couple of years, we've also been working for clients which are actually wanting to go deeper into the digital space. If there's a traditional brand who wants to actually really kind of go through the whole digital transformation, we help them go through that. And at the same time, when it comes to their digital media, it's basically kind of something that we can take over. One good example of that is beIN Sports. beIN Sports is a traditional broadcaster, and they have basically launched beIN Connect in Southeast Asia, which is basically just like kind of a pay-to-play kind of sports broadcast where you can access most of the football on just an app, and you can pay for a certain pay to just watch a one game or pay for a subscription over months. So how we act as is that we basically act as like the digital sales unit, more than digital marketing, is more like digital sales on how many packages or how many subscriptions we can sell. And this is something that I've seen very closely over the years on how companies are actually looking at digital marketing more like a digital sales function rather than like just the overall brand awareness marketing function. And that's the area we operate in really well. Obviously, that doesn't mean that brand awareness and consideration are not important. That's extremely important for brands, and we obviously help a lot of our clients as well. But what we are seeing is that it's becoming more transactional in the digital space, where it's about really getting those transactions in and getting the and being able to actually recognize revenue for every marketing spend that you make.
So 2020 has been an era of, digital transformation. And you said, digital transformation is important for brands becoming safe, and doing safe advertising is important. Brands are trying to become more and more future fit, and they're building these layers of security amongst themselves, around themselves. And one of the steps that I hear a lot of marketers saying is that they're bringing marketing in-house. So uh, specifically programmatic marketing, social media marketing, and agencies are obviously likewise restructuring, and evolving with these changes. So with respect to creative, with respect to tech, with respect to media, what is your take on this?
Yeah. I think change is the only constant in life, right? And I guess companies or people who kind of shy away from change will kind of die, I would say, right? Like, I think in general, there is um, our industry has been evolving, and as our industry has been evolving, so have our clients been evolving, and we need to actually make sure that we are ready for the future needs of our clients. When you talk about working with clients who want to take things in-house, that's definitely how we see things going forward as well. And it's not something that we kind of shy away from, that like kind of that okay, that's not the right thing to do. We feel that our job is more of a consultant than actually of a tech provider, and we have completely taken a very different point of view on as an agency than our competitors. Is that we actually don't feel that we need to go into the product space or build tech ourselves. We actually take the view of a consultant, and so we are extremely tech agnostic. So when a client actually comes to us and says that, okay, I want to run programmatic, even in-house or with us or however, right? We will be able to advise them on what are the different platforms that they could use, and what are the advantages and disadvantages for them, instead of being skewed towards one because our agency group has kind of mandated us to use it, right? So that actually really helps us to be able to advise our clients in the best way possible. So, say for example, a client wants to set up their own DMP, right? Or if they want to start, like they want to kind of use their own mobile measurement platform. Because we don't actually delve into the tech and product space, we are actually able to advise our clients really well. And yeah, I think overall, the it is when clients talk about building their own tech, I usually tell them not to do it, because and the reason for it is very obvious, is that there are companies out there which have been building tech for these products for years, for tens of years, putting thousands of engineers behind it, and and it will be actually very difficult for any client to be able to even reach closer to that level of technology by doing it in-house. Right? So we usually consult our clients to use one of the products which are out there, based on what their requirements are, right? So we will take a brief from them and then we will advise them on which tool to use instead of building it yourself.
So the role of consultants who are tech agnostic is the future.
Yeah.
Do you at at certain points feel that the amount of artificial intelligence, the amount of automation that is coming in, will lead kind of advertising agencies to shrink as they handle more tasks with fewer resources, fewer talent? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I think there is definitely a role of artificial intelligence and machine learning in AdTech, and I think it will increase over a period of time. But that doesn't mean that the role of people, of humans in media planning will actually go away. Like even if you see over the years, right, the if you look at stats, the number of people that media agencies or in general media related roles employ has not decreased over a period of time, right? While there has been a lot of technology for bidding or like kind of real time bidding or even artificial intelligence to an extent, I feel the market is out there for companies to kind of hire people who understand these technologies and be able to kind of say, okay, what is in there, right? What is it really out there that can help our clients? And while obviously other agencies also build their own tech, as I said, we don't build our tech, but what we do is we hire very senior consultants who understand this space really well and are able to actually consult our clients on what kind of technology they should be using. So I feel that while obviously artificial intelligence is going to take a front seat, right, in the future in terms of basically buying and planning, there is definitely going to be a role for individuals and agencies to be able to actually be the right consulting partners for clients to be able to show them the right way, right? Because um, uh, artificial intelligence will always be skewed towards the business interest of the company which has actually created that artificial intelligence. So you need a third party consultative like kind of mind who can come and tell you that, okay, this is the reality and this is how you should use it, but you should not have it go beyond this, right? And I definitely feel there is a lot of scope there for agencies to do more work.
Absolutely. I never discredit the human mind there. No amount of artificial intelligence can really, you know, change that or, replace that. So coming to artificial, you're talking about artificial intelligence, we talked about automation. Most companies are prioritizing e-commerce in this time. D2C models have taken off like a storm in 2021. And a lot of these brands specifically have direct relationships with these technology vendors for building new capabilities like CRM or CX. And given that most marketing spends will go towards building these capabilities, these tech capabilities, how should agencies really gear up to, grab a piece of this pie? You spoke about being, getting into a consultative model, which is great. Anything else that you want to talk about here?
Yeah, I think like I can speak for ourselves, right? So like as an agency, we don't go into the into this part at all. We don't go into building a CRM or a CX for our clients. That's not something that we've done historically. What we do is we buy media that kind of works for you, right? We try to make sure that it's ROI positive and you're able to kind of get value for your money. So we haven't gone into that, but again, like when we are asked about it, we are able to kind of give them recommendation on what platforms are out there. So it's something that really does not concern us directly because we've never been like competing in that space of building a CRM. But like we are the agency who can tell you how to use a CRM, like what is the best way you kind of leverage your CRM to be able to actually do your media better. And say for example, we can consult you on, once you build your CX, we can, with a lot of like kind of digital analytics, we'll be able to tell you that your CX doesn't work because of XYZ factors, and perhaps making these changes, you can your kind of the customer journey could be better, and you could make like kind of the transactional journey easier for the customers, which might lead to better revenue, right? So that's the space we operate in. So I don't think uh, that affects us. But having said that, I think obviously digital transformation is extremely good for us. I think the kind of digital transformation that companies were talking about for years or decades, right? It's something that happened very quickly in 2020. As you say, as you say, necessity is the mother of all inventions, right? And that kind of 2020 was that like kind of year of necessity, where it led to a lot of companies having to digitally transform themselves so that their products are available online, and consumers can reach them directly, whether it's D2C through their own websites, or whether it's through other e-commerce brands like Amazon and Flipkart, where they're able to sell their products there like indirectly. But we've seen that the like if I had to guess, the if the this kind of digital transformation would have happened if COVID had not hit, perhaps by 2025 or 2026, and that actually has happened much faster than it, just because of COVID. So it's, I think like kind of, it's COVID to an extent. Obviously, you shouldn't say that, because obviously there have been like kind of lives lost and all. But COVID or the pandemic has been a boon to the digital transformation that was waiting for years for a lot of companies, and they were not able to push it beyond because of whatever restrictions they had in the company.
So definitely, we've heard this multiple times that 5 to 6 years worth of digital transformation happened in 5 to 6 months, and that was the kind of acceleration we saw with digital technologies. Now, Kabir, tell me, you're heading a performance marketing agency. Anyone in the performance business knows that your primary asset, or one of the most important assets that you have, is your data. And data being, and one of the most significant and the most, legal sources to have it is first party data. Still, that is extremely limiting. So third party data is what really gives you scale and performance. But the world we're moving towards, or the world we live in currently, we have GDPR, we have a lot of privacy laws out there, we have the cookieless browser coming in, which is going to limit our access to this third party data. What data sources do you think can be used as alternates, to first party, or, alternates to third party actually? Should we rely completely on first party, or is there anything else that we can look at?
I think I think you forgot the IDFA deprecation on iOS. I think it doesn't affect India that much, but it's going to affect markets which are iOS heavy, very heavily actually. So that's actually coming in by mid-March. So that's something that we're looking at very closely. But yeah, I think overall, while like there was obviously in the last decade where like there was a lot of data out there and privacy was not really like kind of looked into, a lot of companies have been able to take advantage of that and go to very high levels of behavioral targeting. That's been very advantageous for D2C companies, or companies who basically leverage digital media really well. What is basically happening here is that with the cookie going away, and at the same time also the IDFA deprecation, what we see this decade is going to be more privacy centric. And what really is going to happen based on that is that behavioral targeting of users based on their historic activity is going to be inhibited, and more contextual advertising, which is contextual targeting based on where they are browsing the website, or what kind of content they're reading at that moment will be more relevant. And having said that, I think it will definitely be kind of like a kind of a hit to the digital marketing by itself. I have a feeling, and to be very honest, shouldn't be saying that, but I usually I try to be as honest as possible. I In general, what I feel is that over a period of time, once these kind of regulations start coming in, digital marketing in itself will become less effective than it was before. And the reason for that is digital marketing has always relied on behavioral targeting. Behavioral targeting has been the treasure trove for digital marketing. And if behavioral targeting is inhibited or is difficult to implement, digital marketing in itself could become less efficient than it was before. But having said that, I still feel digital marketing will be way more effective than traditional marketing. When I say traditional, I mean TV or radio or out of home newspaper and all of that, because there is still a lot of context that you can add, and that contextual layer of data will still actually make it more relevant than a lot of other types of media. So having said that, I feel I'm still very optimistic on how digital media will be in the future. And as you can see, most media now is becoming digital, with connected TV coming in, with digital out of home coming in. It's all becoming digital, where it can be kind of served from a platform or can be measured from a dashboard. But overall, I feel that the effectiveness might decrease over a period of time, but it will still be much more relevant than traditional advertising.
Absolutely. So, what about app data or IMEI data? Is that a reasonable alternative to browser data?
Also, yeah, that's a reasonable alternative, but since Apple announced that IDFA will be deprecated, it won't. So like people thought that once we go cookieless, we would still have IDFA from Apple and GAID from Android to use and to be able to target. But once IDFA is deprecated, which is happening next month, it seems like it will be more difficult to use that kind of app data in the future as well. And going by going by historic kind of activities that have gone by, right? Like usually we've seen that Google usually follows what Apple does. So with Apple actually went cookieless on their Safari browser in 2016 or 2017, and then Google followed suit like 3 years later with their own Chrome browser. And now actually, since IDFA is being deprecated by Apple, we like if I have to predict, I would say in the next 2-3 years, Google will perhaps take a similar decision as well. Because I think there will be pressure on them globally through regulators as well, to pressure on being like a flag bearer for privacy. And I feel that it will, Google will also follow suit. So I think, especially for India and Southeast Asia, I think like the current IDFA deprecation will not affect them as much as it would affect them when GID gets deprecated in the next 2-3 years. So I think I would advise everyone to really like kind of follow that space, because it's going to change a lot of things for all of us once that happens.
So we better get used to the contextual forms of marketing and start, getting used to and optimizing on that. So
Yeah.
on the same lines, Kabeer, in terms of media, in terms of advertising inventory today, especially when we come to e-commerce models, we come to virtual product shelves, data ownership, there's an inordinate amount of inventory and power that seems to be vested with the triopoly, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. Uh, what would be your suggestion to brands who want to kind of, de-risk themselves, who want to step away from this triopoly, reduce their dependence on these three? What would be your suggestion to such brands?
I think, Shiny, I think brands don't look at it as de-risking, right? Like, for example, if brands are actually spending on Facebook and Facebook, Google, and Amazon, they feel that they are actually spending on very safe kind of making very safe investments. So I think advertising should follow where the users are. Definitely, users are present on Facebook and Instagram. In other markets in Southeast Asia and in APAC, users are present on TikTok or whatever the social media channels are out there. People are spending time on Google search, and people are spending time on searching on Amazon. So see, media dollars should always actually follow what people are, where people are consuming their media, right? And I feel we shouldn't actually try to kind of create a case of saying that okay, there is some problem there. I don't think that there is, and again, I don't have any kind of like some very like I'm not skewed or I'm not biased towards these companies, but media dollars in general, when people watch a lot of Star TV in India and GRP is very high, then media's money goes there, right? And this is how it should be, right? Like if we have other platforms, if we have say someone like a Times of India where people are spending more time and the inventory there is actually much more efficient, then yeah, definitely media dollars should go there. So I think because of the huge trove of inventory that the triopoly has, and the amount of context and also the amount of behavioral data that they've had in the past, it's actually been much more relevant for advertisers to spend there. And I feel that will continue in the future. Actually, I feel with the deprecation of IDFA and the cookieless world, right? I feel because behavioral targeting will become difficult, it will make the triopoly even stronger because companies like Facebook and Google will still have a lot of data which would basically be in their ecosystem that they can legally use to actually target people. I have a feeling this will I have a feeling that this will actually affect, or this will actually help the triopoly in a positive way than a negative way in the future.
Absolutely, and follow the consumer. Wherever is the consumer, that's where you market to them. Uh, Practical, logical advice there, Kabir. Last question for you today. What would be your advice to planners and marketing and agencies for 2021? What should they be cognizant of this year?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think yeah, I think um, la- I'm just thinking actually, like I think overall, see, with in terms of advertisers for 2021, I would say it's very important to actually know who your customers are. Make sure you're on the right path of the digital transformation journey. If you're not, please get onto it, because if you don't change in the next year or two, there is a good possibility that you could kind of die. At the same time, I would say for media planners, it's very important to kind of reskill yourselves outside of the traditional, outside of the traditional like kind of paths of media planning, and think more about the digital ecosystem. Media planning is going to be changing and evolving in the next 10 years. There is a lot of actually scope of artificial intelligence and machine learning coming there. But obviously make sure that machine learning does not inform your day-to-day decisions. There should always be a layer of human that human common sense plus artificial intelligence works well for your brands and for the campaigns that you're running. And yeah, I think what 2020 has taught us is basically being thankful and grateful for like kind of the world we live in and the technology actually that is out there, because I would say technology actually has been one of the kind of true heroes of 2020, and I think we should be grateful for that amount, that kind of science that actually has been in the system, so that we've been able to communicate with our loved ones, we've been able to buy groceries, or we've been able to actually get food delivered to our homes without actually having being in touch with anyone outside our house. So I think like we should really be thankful for the science and technology which has actually led us to this era where we've been able to kind of go through a pandemic without huge destruction, and be able to kind of conquer that. So yeah.
Absolutely. So reskill, relearn, reset, be tech friendly, but don't let it rule your common sense. Is that what we take away?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much, Kabir. It's been such a pleasure to have this conversation. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Shaini, for having me. Look forward to our chats in the future.